Are you someone who finds yourself constantly cracking your knuckles, only to have the urge to crack them again, even minutes later? How about your neck? What about your back? If so, you might be a crack addict, and I'm here to help. What's up guys, Jeff Cavalier, AthleanX.com. As a physical therapist, there's not a week that goes by that I don't get asked whether or not cracking your joints is even safe in the first place or damaging to your joints in the long run. Well, today I'm going to answer that question for you once and for all, and I'm going to use this. Well, have you ever heard that the reason why you want to crack so badly is because you have air bubbles inside those joints that just has to be relieved? Well, that's actually not entirely accurate. You see, if I take out this syringe and a little bit of this, don't ask, I can actually take you inside one of those joints that you're popping right now to show you exactly what's happening. What this represents is actually the synovial fluid that bathes the joints of your body. And though you thought the bubbles already existed, they actually don't. You're creating the bubbles by taking yourself through extended ranges of motion. So if I took this syringe and I pulled back on the fluid that's inside here, you can see that I'm creating that negative pressure that creates the bubbles. Well, the act of pulling back on the syringe is actually pulling me into that extended range of motion, much like I would when I'm trying to crack my knuckle and pull it backwards. So the idea is maybe you're not responding to a need to crack, but you're actually responding to a need to get into full range of motion. And that is an underlying problem that's much deeper than just the need to make a pop in your hands. You see, what your body's lacking is actually more range of motion long term. Any short-term pop is going to provide only that short-term relief and not the long-term relief that you're looking for, which is why you're back cracking again in just minutes. So the pop is actually not the end goal, but more so the audible gratification that you've reached that range of motion that you're lacking right now. And of course, with all that accumulated cracking, you got to ask yourself if you're actually damaging your joints in the process. Well, possibly. It's because how you're cracking your joints right now actually matters. If you're taking yourself through actual ranges of motion of the joints you're trying to pop, well, then it's not so bad. But if you're creating all new ranges of motions in joints that didn't exist before, or you're contorting yourself in different ways to achieve that pop, well, I think you're probably causing yourself some long-term damage. You may have heard the risk of developing arthritis by cracking your knuckles. I'll ease your mind a little bit here. Likely, that's not going to happen. However, creating joint instability and ligament laxity can. If I were to take this finger here and move it through one of its normal ranges of motion at one of these distal phalangeal joints, I'm going to be okay because it's meant to be extended, it's meant to flex. If that's how you're cracking your knuckles right now, no problem. As a matter of fact, you can even twist this joint because it has some rotation ability in it. However, when you start to do this, you combine the twisting with the flexing and the side bending, well, you're now creating ranges of motion that really don't exist in that joint. And what you're doing is creating some of that laxity in the joint and the tendons and the ligaments that support it that could create some instability and maybe even some swelling in the short term. Continue to do that over and over and over again, you might be in for some long-term discomfort. So how can you be sure that you're doing it right with every joint that you're cracking right now? Well, let me show you. So let's start with you neck crackers out there. And it's a good place to start because not doing this right probably has the most serious of implications if you get it wrong. So what I want you to understand is, again, what range of motion are you likely restricted in? And when it comes to the neck, there's really only two, and that's side bending or rotation. And even though your neck can flex forward or extend backwards, they're generally not the areas that you're most restricted in. You see, rotation and side bending happens to be caused a little bit more from an overuse of this. So how do we fix it? Well, try one at a time. Start with side bending. The way to do this is put one arm behind your back and then reach up and over the top of your head just like that, and make sure you bring your ear directly over towards your shoulder. And if you see, right there, you get a little bit of a pop at the end range of motion for the same reasons we talked about before with the green liquid in the syringe. Now, if side bending doesn't get you the crack that you're looking for, then maybe you want to explore rotation. So what you do is you move yourself over to one side or the other side, again, all the way over as far as you can. But again, doing this in a way where your neck just moves nice and smoothly like it's on a swivel. But what if you want to combine those two? Others might tell you that it's actually a dangerous thing to do. I'm not one of them. Because again, we're utilizing ranges of motion that are normal for the cervical spine. So if you're going to do this though, don't do this variation of the crack. Because this is called the head swivel, and you might just pull your whole damn head off. Not really, but again, it's unnecessary. Too much force and sometimes prone to too much velocity. So instead, you just move your ear towards your shoulder, and then you use the overpressure on the chin itself. So you go into that side bending, and then you use the extra overforce there. But the idea here, though, is you're exploring normal ranges of motion, making this safe to do. Now, if it's your back that's in need of the crack, what can we do then? Well, keep sitting where you're probably sitting right now, and I can help you to do that. We have to talk about two different areas of the back though. The upper back or the thoracic spine, and then the lower back or the lumbar spine. And when we're talking about that upper back, you could actually take that chair you're sitting in right now and establish extension back this way, because we tend to get way too rounded these days, and rotation through the thoracic spine. So let's work on rotation first. If you want to get rotation sitting nice and tall, you take your back arm, you hook it on the back of your chair however well you can. And from that point, you now take your opposite arm, reach across to the opposite leg. You're gonna pull back here and push through that arm and create that rotation, which you're gonna feel that pop if it's present higher up in that upper middle portion of your back. Now, if you want to work on that extension loss that you have, which oftentimes is what people really lack, then what you want to do is put your hands up here around your neck, keep them nice and high, round the shoulders out a little bit like that, and then lean back over the back of your chair, using it sort of as the fulcrum point for helping you to get that extension loss that you have right now. If you have the point further up than the chair, and all you have to do is slide yourself down the chair a little bit, and again, lean back over the chair, finding that perfect level where you feel most restricted. If you prefer to not do this in a chair, you can easily do this on the floor. And what you do is you extend your legs out, you cross one foot over the other knee, just like that. You use your backhand here to post off of the floor, and you take your elbow on this side and just lock it in on the opposite side of your knee. And then here, try to stay up nice and tall and just rotate to the side. Again, you should feel that really nice and high up here in the thoracic spine. You can do that obviously both directions to make sure that you're getting that pop that you're looking for. Now, if you want to get more of your low back, then what you have to do is take this down to the floor. So you lay back just like this, and then you bring one knee all the way up to your chest as high as you can. At this point, you're going to pull it across your body, using the opposite arm over here to open up your chest, to lead this stuff back and create the rotation that you're looking for down there. Now, ironically, if you were to look at this, this is not really a rotation stretch in the lumbar spine, because we don't have a lot of rotation down there, only 10 degrees maximum. Instead, what we're actually getting is a little bit of side bending here in the lumbar spine because of the hip being held up high. If you want to feel this a little bit lower, all you have to do is drop the hip down a little bit lower, below hip level. But again, the stretch is going to be the same. Same thing you do on the opposite side. You put that leg down straight, across, this pulls over here, that goes that way. This is a good way and a safe way to get that low back of yours to feel that release if you're feeling tense right now. And as I said, if it's those knuckles of yours that you just have to crack, then make sure again you're doing it with those normal ranges of motion. So things like flexion and extension of these proximal joints is fair game to get them to pop. And even some of that rotation that we talked about at the distal joints. And if it's that thumb of yours that really feels like it's stuck right now, getting that opposition is going to be perfect for helping you get that crack right here at the base of your thumb. Once again, reminding you that it's those normal range of motions that you're trying to explore to avoid those abnormal changes to the joints long term. But again, if the pop is just serving as an audible feedback to the fact that the real issue is the lack of range of motion that you have right now, are you really even solving anything by cracking? Well, not likely, but a good stretch that you can do every single day that will address most of these restricted areas, well, that can help you a lot. And that's why I want you to watch this video next for one amazing stretch that you can do without any equipment at all.